Hi students. The essay, The Anthropocene, a New Epoch of Geological Time, is prescribed in Module 4 Climate of your AEC course, Language for Developmental Studies. Now, this essay is a collaborative study conducted by 4 geologists such as Jan Zalasiewicz, Mark Williams, Ellen Haywood, and Michael Ellis. And through this essay, they explore a fascinating and timely concept in earth sciences called the Anthropocene. Now, these are the key highlights of the essay. First, we discuss how anthropogenic or human activities have caused major or fast changes to Earth's climate, land, oceans, and life. Secondly, the essay gives us inputs about scientists who debate that if these changes define a new geological time, then it should be called the Anthropocene. Next, the discussion focuses on how big and important these changes are when compared to Earth's long history. And then these authors give us evidence which indicate that a major transformation may have occurred over the past 200 years, suggesting we could be entering a new age or a new epoch. So, altogether, this essay explores the global impact of human activity from a geological perspective. So, these are the key points discussed in the essay. Now, let's look at the term the Anthropocene. Now, the term Anthropocene is formed by combining the Greek words anthropos, which means human, and scene, which means new. And it suggests a new geological epoch marked by the significant and lasting impact of human activities on our planet. So, we can define this term Anthropocene as a period in Earth's history marked by human activity. So it shows the impact humans have had on the planet Earth, including the planet's climate, oceans, land, etc. So through Anthropocene, we understand how human activity is damaging the planet. And in this essay, Jan Zalasiewicz and his colleagues have given a very exhaustive definition of the term Anthropocene. So, what does they say? They define it as a term used to describe the current time period when human activities have a major impact on the Earth's environment and climate. It highlights how things like pollution, deforestation, and climate change are changing the planet in ways that are different from any natural process. So, what does this definition mean? It means that this is a term used by scientists to denote the current time in history. The present time in history is called the Anthropocene. Now, what makes this time special? Well, it's when humans, that is us humans, we are making really big changes to this earth. Okay? And we are making changes more than ever before. Now, what are the changes that we make? For example, we do things like cutting down a lot of trees, that's deforestation. We burn a lot of fuel. We drive cars, we drive vehicles, that causes pollution. And these are some of the activities that lead to climate change, like global warming. It makes the planet hotter. So these things are not happening naturally. They are caused by humans. We are the ones who cut the trees. We are the ones who create all this air pollution, soil pollution, water pollution. All this is not happening naturally. The plastic pollution, everything is created by the humans. It is caused by the humans. So, this term Anthropocene helps us understand that humans are now a major force shaping the environment and climate. Okay. Now let's look at what are the consequences of the Anthropocene on our planet. So these are the important changes that are happening, and we need to understand them. Let's go through them one by one. First is climate change. We have probably heard a lot about this. Climate change means the earth is getting warmer because we are burning fossil fuels like coal and oil. So, this is affecting weather patterns, causing extreme heat, storms, floods, droughts, etc. So, it's like the planet's weather is completely going out of balance. Okay. Next is biodiversity loss. The biodiversity means all the different kinds of animals, plants, and other life forms of Earth. In the Anthropocene, many species are disappearing faster than ever. This is because their habitats are destroyed or polluted by man, by humans. So, when we lose certain species, it will affect the whole balance of nature. Okay. Third is pollution. We are producing a lot of waste that's ending up in our air, in our water, even in our soil. So think of plastic in the oceans or harmful chemicals in rivers. Now, this pollution can harm not only humans but also animals and plants. Then, what about resource depletion? We are using up natural resources like oil, water, and forests at a fast rate. These resources are limited, and if we don't manage them carefully, there won't be enough for future generations. And then you have ocean acidification. And what is ocean acidification? It means the oceans absorb a lot of the carbon dioxide we release into the air. Now, this is making the oceans more acidic, and this is harmful to marine life, especially creatures like corals and shellfish. So, if the oceans become too acidic, it would damage marine ecosystems and food sources. Then, Anthropocene is also creating social inequality. That means not everyone is affected by these changes in the same way. Some communities, especially in poorer parts of the world, face more problems from climate change, pollution, and lack of resources. Now, this creates more inequality between rich and poor people or rich and poor communities. Then we have altered ecosystems. That means human activities are changing ecosystems. The environments where plants, animals, and other organisms live. These spaces are changing. For example, deforestation. When lots of trees or forests are destroyed, or when they are converted into farmlands, or when we take these lands for urban development, that affects the ecosystem of many species, right? So, this is what you mean by altered ecosystems. And then urbanization. Urban means city. So, more and more people are living in cities. So, which leads to the growth of or the expansion of cities or urban areas. Of course, cities offer opportunities, jobs, etc., but they also create challenges like pollution, resource use, habitat destruction, etc. So, these are some of the big consequences of Anthropocene. So, this is the background that we need to know before moving on to the essay. Now, let's move on to the introduction segment of this essay. So, here the authors give a historical context of Anthropocene. They say that the idea that humans are a geological force is not entirely new. It is not an entirely new concept. In the late 19th century itself, many scientists have talked about this, and now it has attained greater attention. So, it is now discussed as a potential official geological epoch, the present times is called the Anthropocene. It is officially declared as the Anthropocene epoch. Now let's see who are the foundational figures behind the Anthropocene concept. In the 19th century, scientists like George Perkins Marsh began recognizing the extent of human influence on Earth's systems. The Italian geologist Antonio Stepani uh, even coined the term Anthropozoic to describe this era of human driven transformation. And then in 19th century, there was Svante Arrhenius. He was a Swedish scientist. He also received the Nobel Prize. And Thomas Chamberlain, an American geologist, they both studied carbon dioxide and its impact on global warming. That was during the 19th century. However, in 2002, another Nobel laureate and atmospheric chemist, Paul Crutzen, he popularized the term Anthropocene to describe the current era dominated by human influence. Okay, now moving on to the second part. What characterizes the Anthropocene? So, uh, anthropologists, they have stated that who are anthropologists? Anthropologists are scientists who study the history of the human species. So, anthropologists have studied how humans are changing the earth. Okay, how humans are changing the earth since the ancient times, starting with early tools that they used. And they found that because of the humans, the earth's systems are undergoing rapid change. There is rapid change in climate, in land, in ocean chemistry, in biodiversity, etc. And because of this dominance of human influence, many processes that were naturally happening on earth are now dominated by human actions. The best example is climate change, the earth becoming hotter and hotter, then soil erosion happening, the recent Wayanad landslide, the floods. So, beneath all these catastrophes, disasters that have happened, we can understand that it was the human activity that was involved that led to such disasters. So, basically, when you take all these natural calamities, we understand that it was the human activity that caused these disasters. And now there is an ongoing debate about when did this Anthropocene exactly start. Okay, so this is the debate that is going on. So some scientists propose that it began in the mid 20th century. Okay, some scientists, they tell that it began during the mid 20th century, and during this time, what happened? Uh, Anthropologists find that during the mid 20th century means between 1901 to 2000, uh, the middle ages, I mean, then during the 1940s, 50s, that time is called the mid 20th century. So, according to anthropologists, during this period, they witnessed population growth, industrialization, technological advancement, etc. So they find that this is the starting point of the age of Anthropocene. But others argue that it happened even before that. Okay, many other anthropologists says no, it is not just the mid 20th century that begins. That marks the beginning of Anthropocene age. It happened even before that. And they say it began with the advent of agriculture around 11,500 years ago. Okay, and it was since the advent of agriculture that people started cutting down trees for agricultural purposes to get lands. They cleared those forests for farming, for agriculture, etc. And this sort of deforestation that marks the beginning of Anthropocene according to some other anthropologists. But then there are several other uh, anthropologists. They say that no, it is not only agriculture, but even before that, that means during the Pleistocene era, and that was the time when uh, species like the large animals, which was called the megafauna, like mammoth, dinosaur. Uh, so it was a time when such species disappeared, and the disappearance of the megafauna is also attributed to human arrival. Okay, so several others say even during the Pleistocene we can see the effect of Anthropocene. So this is what several anthropologists claim about the beginning of the Anthropocene era. Some say it is 20th century industrialization that brought Anthropocene. Some say no, it is the agriculture that brought Anthropocene. Some say it is even before that, even during the time of the dinosaurs and mammoths, that Anthropocene started. So, according to them, according to anthropologists, the global population by 2050 it will increase from 1 billion to 9 billion, partly due to industrialization. The global population was 1 billion during the 18th century, 1800, but it will reach 9 billion by the time we reach 2050. So all the reason attributed to this is industrial revolution. So as the population increases, that will affect the planet, that will affect the ecology, that will affect the climate, the biodiversity, etc. Okay, they give examples of how human activities have changed erosion. There are no more much trees or forests to protect the soil. The sedimentation rates have changed, and this is affecting rivers and coastlines. And the human construction, we are constructing buildings and towers and houses and everything. We are expanding our territories, we are expanding our cities, urban life, etc. But this is affecting the nature, this is affecting the whole world. So only if this sort of construction stops, nature can reclaim, or nature can come back to normalcy. And because of this human actions, the carbon dioxide emission has increased, especially when we use these vehicles, the factories, uh, the amount of carbon dioxide that is emitted into nature, into the atmosphere, uh, it is uh, it is polluting the air, the water, the land, etc. So it is affecting all forms of life, both marine forms as well as species living on land, in the air, etc. So, in short, the whole world is getting affected. All species are getting affected just because of the activities of humans. Okay, next we move on to the third section of this essay. It's titled Dealing with Geological Time. So, here we should know what is geological time. What do they mean by geological time? Now, this is a way scientists measure the history of the earth. Okay, geological time is a way scientists use to measure the history of the earth, the age of earth. But instead of thinking in days, months, or years, they think in millions and billions of years. Okay, so here they say that the earth is really, really old. It is about 4.5 billion years old. That's very hard to picture, right? So, scientists break the Earth's history into big chunks of time. It's like chapters in a book. Okay. Now, these chunks or these chapters in the history of Earth is called geological time periods. And each one or each time period represents a time when big things were happening on Earth, like dinosaurs living, continents moving, ice ages happening. All these are geological time periods. And one example is a really long time ago, dinosaurs lived dinosaurs lived on Earth. And it was during an age or a geological time period called Mesozoic era. Okay, and this Mesozoic era lasted for about 180 million years. So that is just one chapter in Earth's history. Great. Now that we know what geological time is, let's look a little deeper at how scientists break it down. So first remember that the earth is over 4.5 billion years old. That's an incredibly long time. So to make it easier to understand, what did the scientists do? They divided this long history into smaller parts. It's like kind of slicing a big cake into pieces. Each pieces are called eons or eras or periods or epochs or ages. Okay. Now what is the difference? Eons and eras. Eons and eras, they are big, they are the biggest chunks of time. For example, the time when dinosaurs lived is called the Mesozoic era. And this era lasted from about 250 million to 66 million years ago. And the dinosaurs left behind fossils. So that era is marked by their presence in the fossil record. It is through the fossils that we find out all such existence of species. And then what about periods and epochs? Compared to eons and eras, periods and epochs are smaller chunks of time. Okay? See, for example, right now we are living in the Quaternary period, which started about 2.6 million years ago. And this Quaternary period includes two epochs: the Pleistocene epoch, and it is when the ice ages occurred, and the Holocene epoch, which began about 11,500 years ago. And this was the time when humans started farming. And for us, the Holocene epoch is a bit more important. Do you know why? Because a lot of the Earth's surface features that we see today, like the type of soils, the rivers, the valleys, the lands, everything that we see as of now, it was shaped during this Holocene epoch. So scientists know about this by studying ice cores, fossils, etc. So when we say we are in the Holocene epoch, we are talking about the last 11,500 years. And it is a time marked by big changes in climate. And it is also when humans have made a big impact on the earth. So now we know what is era, epoch, periods, etc. Now let's look at it more deeply. Okay, let's look at a very exciting part of Earth's history, the time of the dinosaurs. Now, as I told, this time or this period was called the Mesozoic era, also known as the age of dinosaurs, because dinosaurs were the dominant land animals. Okay, it was like dinosaurs were the rulers of the land, and they evolved into all kinds of shapes and sizes, from huge long necked ones like brachiosaurs to fierce predators. This was a time when these amazing creatures thrived and ruled the earth for millions of years. And we have uh, this Mesozoic era, which was not just one long period. It can be divided into three smaller periods. It is called the Triassic period. And Triassic period is the time when dinosaurs first appeared during this Mesozoic era. The second period is the Jurassic period. The Jurassic period was when many of the famous dinosaurs lived and thrived. And the third period, the Cretaceous period, it was when even more species of dinosaurs evolved, but it was also the time when they faced their downfall. Okay. And then what happened? The Mesozoic era didn't last long. This is all part of evolution. It ended with a mass extinction that happened 66 million years ago. And most scientists believe that this was caused by a giant asteroid that hit the Earth. And the impact of this asteroid caused massive fires, then many other changes in climate, and as a result, many species, including the dinosaurs, became extinct. Okay, so that was the Mesozoic era. And then let's look at the Pleistocene epoch. Now, it is an important chapter in Earth's history, especially for humans. Now, this epoch started around 2.6 million years ago and it lasted until about 11,500 years ago. Let's see three big things that happened during the Pleistocene. One is ice ages. The Pleistocene is famous for the ice ages. During this time, the earth went through cycles of freezing, and this is called or or cold, and interglacial or warm periods. So the earth went through these cycles of freezing and warming periods, glacial and interglacial periods. So there were huge ice sheets covered parts of North America, Europe, Asia, etc. These glaciers shaped the land. They carved out the valleys and moved rocks and soil. So that is the importance of ice ages. Then we have the megafauna. During this Pleistocene era, there were also some incredible animals, and they were called the megafauna. And this megafauna refers to large mammals like mammoths, saber-toothed cats, giant sloths, etc. But many of these creatures went extinct by the end of the epoch, and that was possibly due to climate change, hunting by humans, etc. And the third and the most exciting part of the Pleistocene is that when modern humans, that is Homo sapiens, first appeared, humans developed better tools, they learned to hunt, they started migrating across continents. So, this period set the stage for humans to spread around the world. So, the Pleistocene epoch was a time of ice ages, large mammals, and human evolution. And this was also another crucial step in the history of Earth and our species. And now let's talk about the Holocene period or Holocene epoch, which is the time period we are living in right now. Now, this period started about 11,500 years ago, right after the Pleistocene epoch or the Ice Age. Now, let's break down the key events of the Holocene. One is post Ice Age climate. The Holocene began with the Earth warming up after the last Ice Age. Earth started becoming warmer after the Ice Age. And as the climate got warmer, the huge ice sheets that covered much of the planet started to melt. So, this caused sea levels to rise and it helped to create the modern ecosystems that we know today, like forests, grasslands, deserts, etc. Now, second key event was agricultural development. A really important thing that happened during the Holocene is that humans began to develop agriculture. People started growing crops and raising animals instead of just hunting and gathering. So, this led to permanent settlements and eventually the rise of human civilizations. It was a major turning point for humanity. And next, the third key event is human impact. Over time, humans have had a bigger and bigger impact on the earth. Human activities like farming, building cities, and using natural resources have changed landscapes, ecosystems, and even the climate. So, this is what leads to the idea of the Anthropocene, which we talked about earlier. And this is how humans have become a major force in shaping the planet. So, the Holocene epoch is all about the ice melting, giving us warmer climate, the rise of human civilization, and how humans have started changing the planet in big ways. And moving on to the last part of this essay, it's called the Examining the Anthropocene, which is a conclusion segment. So here we wrap up our discussion. We understand that the Anthropocene is a proposed geological epoch that scientists think which can be added to our current time scale. It is like the other periods that have existed before, like the Jurassic period or the Cretaceous period, etc. So it signifies a time when human activities have become a major force in shaping the earth. That is what Anthropocene is all about. Then, the Anthropocene, according to scientists, this should be formalized. The term should be formalized. The term should be officially recognized. Okay, and there needs to be a lot of discussion and agreement among scientists and organizations, such as the International Commission of Stratigraphy. So, this organization is a group that decides how we can categorize geological time. So, by consulting all these people and important organizations, we should officially recognize this period, the present time, as the Anthropocene era. And then, in this section, the authors reflect the significant changes that has happened on Earth due to human activity, and these changes these changes lead to many important questions like what about our planet's future, uh, then what about people, what is the future of the planet, the future of the people, future of all the resources, etc. Okay, and finally they come to the realization, or rather they create an awareness that the idea of Anthropocene, it should be considered as a very important, very pressing challenge of our times, and it is very essential that we organize discussions and awareness programs to create an awareness among as many people as we can. Okay, so only if we are aware that our actions are impacting the earth in a very harmful way, can we try to reduce these problems. So they finally conclude by understating that it is very important that all the people throughout the world, they understand more about this phenomenon or this epoch called the Anthropocene. So that's it. Thank you.